Hey, good morning, everyone. How are you? Happy Monday. I do want to just do a quick sound check and make sure that you all can hear me. So on the left-hand side of your screen, you should see a chat box. And if in that chat box, you could type, yes, I can hear you, or loud and clear, that would be great. It helps me know my technology is working. It also helps me know that you know where you can ask questions. So as we're jumping in and as you have questions about using your listing action plans, you know where you can go to ask questions. And then the other piece is, as we start to really jump in and talk about your listing action plans, if you can drop in that chat box, how long have you been in the business? Where are you joining us from? How many listings? What's your goal for this year for listings that you're taking? And just a little bit more information about you. That helps me know how to direct the conversation as well in this webinar. For those of you who don't know me, I recognize a lot of names on the screen today. And I'm excited that you're here. My name is Kelsey Fulton. I'm going to be taking you through things this morning. Welcome, Sandra. And a couple weeks ago, we talked about seller tools. One of those was listing action plans. And now we're really going to dive deeply into how do you set these up, what information goes in them, why would you use them in that side. Today, we are going to go through how do you create a listing action plan, a review of each item type that you can add to an action plan, completing your actions, auto-attaching your plan so you can actually set some default plans to automatically set, and then, of course, using your questions. As we go through this, if you have questions, please, please, please feel free to ask. The only question that is silly is the one that is unasked. Our goal is really to get you as much information as possible. And chances are, if you have that question, then someone else also probably has that question. And we want to make sure it's getting answered. This session is also being recorded. And so you will get a copy of this recording today with links to the recording, as well as links to really jump in and sign up for training on the ongoing training that's happening. So without further ado, let's jump in. Audra, I'm glad you let me know that you're a support staff. There's one thing that you're going to do differently so that you can really make use of it for your whole office. Awesome, Vicki. All right, so when you are in your office, you're going to see a screen that looks very similar to this. And I'm just gonna blow this up a little bit bigger so it's a little clearer for you all. And to create your own action plans. So an action plan is more than just an auto drip email. It's not just a series of emails that go out that help you stay in touch with people. It's really your complete, I like to think of it as your complete marketing plan. So whether it's an action plan for a contact or an action plan for a listing, it's all the steps that you need to do to make sure that you are taking care of that listing or that person. So it might be automated emails. It might be follow-up requests. It might be ordering postcards. There's a lot of things that it could be. And to create your action plans, all of your action plans are going to be underneath this tools and preferences gauge. So this tools and preferences is where you can really dig in. You can see here that actions, there's a to-do and a calendar. And then right next to it, there is a button that says My Action Plans. If you are creating your action plans, they are only available to you. It's not something that you're sharing with every agent in your office. Audra, for you, when you are actually creating your action plans, I'm just going to quick act as an admin. You're going to go to this admin button, and then underneath manage content, there's an action plan button here. And so if you are one of the staff people on the call today, Know that that's the difference. You're going into admin action plans, and that's where you're going to create your action plans for the office. But for all of you that are agents on the call today, you are going to go into your tools and preferences and go to my action plans. Once you do that, a main dash with all of your action plans will easily show up. And it will show the name of the plan here on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side underneath type, it's going to tell you, is it a listing action plan or a contact action plan? So there are two different types of plans that you can have. Now, if you've never made an action plan before, there's going to be a green button here in the middle of your screen that says Create Action Plan. If you're adding action plans, you're going to click on this plus new button in the upper right-hand corner, and that's how you're going to create that action plan. Before we jump into that, I want to just show you a couple different types of plans and things that you may have in your plan. Things like taking pictures, shooting your video, checking the listing on Zillow for those of us in the States. I know we may have some of our Canadian clients on the call too. Going to realtor.com to check the listing, uploading a video to YouTube, pinning it on Pinterest, sharing it on Facebook, setting up your Facebook advertisement, creating your flyer, sending it out to your current clients, to your current buyer pool. So there's a lot of things that go into a listing marketing plan. I'll post these two, this listing marketing plan. I'll post this on our Facebook page today so that you can have a copy of this. How many of you actually have written down, I know there's a couple new people on the call. I know there's a couple people who have been in the business for a while on the call. How many of you actually have a plan? I take a new listing, and the moment I take a new listing, this is the plan of attack that I have. I install my lockbox, I order my sign up, I get my photos scheduled, I share it on social media, I set my print advertising, I schedule my open houses. How many of you have that plan written down somewhere and you have a system in place for what you're doing to really maximize your listings? No, hey Jim, no is an acceptable answer for sure. Awesome. So Candy says, yes, she does. Vicki says that that's why she's here today to figure it out. Vicki, I like that answer a lot. Audra, does your office have something like that? Awesome, Chris. So your office does have something. Cool. So this is the thing about lists. I love lists. They actually say people who work from a to-do list are more efficient. Like just the physical practice of writing things down actually increases productivity by something like 60%. No worries, Audra. Does your office have some kind of marketing plan? Hey, marketing strategy for your agents? Hey, when you get a new listing, these are the things that you should do. But the other thing about a list that is really important is remembering to do those things on the list. So one thing is being able to make that list. The next thing is really being able to know that you are going to be held accountable for that list. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today too. So as you're in your My Action Plans, that tools, My Actions, we're going to just start by creating a new list. And Chris and Jim, I know that you jumped on a little late. Audra's also a team staff member. You're going to go, if you're a staff member or a broker owner or a manager, you're going to go to the admin button, admin underneath manage content action plans. That's where you're going to find yours to make them company-wide. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to name this action plan. And so when I name this action plan, I want it to be descriptive of what I'm going to do. So I'm going to call this plan that we're going to do today my marketing 12-step plan. Okay, that's the first thing. I'm going to name it something that's descriptive. It makes it easy for me to remember. I also have the ability to allow these individual actions to display for clients in a portal. So I want to make sure that I'm naming it something that maybe I talk about in my listing presentation. So if you go to a listing presentation and you talk about your 12-step marketing plan or your 24-point check-in system or something like that, it's really easy to name these action plans so you know what it is. And then for my action plan type, I'm going to choose listings. So I've named my plan, I've chosen the type, and I'm going to click save. Once I do that, I know that I'm in edit mode because out from the right-hand side of the screen pulls the edit side of things. So I can easily know I'm in edit, and I can see right now that this action plan is empty. So I need to go in and I need to fill up the action plan with the items that I'm going to do. So as I'm doing that, to do that, I click this plus button here. And it's going to create an action plan item. I can see all the details of this plan. And I can choose from a drop down. So there's a lot of choices for a listing action plan that you can do. Anything that says automatic system email or an add to campaign or a send survey, these are things that are going to happen for you. So if I choose automatic system email, maybe this is an email that is getting your home ready for showings and it's got that information in there. I'm going to choose my subject line. I'm going to choose when this goes out, and I'm going to choose all of that side of it. Now, anything that is content related. When I say content related, I mean, hey, it's an auto system email, it's an add to campaign, it's a send to survey. I'm going to have to create that content, that campaign or that survey before I go in and create my action plan. I have to have that set up before I do this. Does that make sense? Then once you have it all set up, you can have it, you can schedule it to automatically attach. If that makes sense, just go ahead and drop a yep or yes or sure thing into that chat box so I know that that part makes sense. Cool. And we can go over a little bit at the end on where you can go to put that content in. For those of you, if you don't know where it is, I'm more than happy to show you that. For the time's sake during this session, I'm not going to do that. Candy, we'll go through an action plan, and then I know that we've got a mix of users on the call. So I know that some people know where to go to do that marketing side of things, and some people don't. And so we'll do a recap on where you go to add that content here at the end for sure. So as I'm building my plan, so let's say the first thing I'm doing on that list that I showed you was scheduling my photos. I could actually say, hey, I'm going to do a follow-up request. This is going to be scheduled photos. Woo. And I'm going to put in that description. This is just for my reminder. So keeping in mind that we are pulling everything from MLS. So once your listing's in MLS, that listing is live, you can build your plan. Now, I'm going to schedule this for the day after it goes live and I want to remind myself I'm a little bit more of an early bird. I want to remind myself at 6:30 a.m. Do I want to repeat it? No, I don't. Do I want to notify myself the same day or the day before? I'm going to say one day prior at 4:30 p.m. I want a reminder. So you set what your reminders and when those reminders go out are. I'm going to remind myself the day before that I want that to be due. Now, here's the cool part. Do I want this to be visible to the seller? Yes or no? I'm going to say yes, because for this example, I'm going to say that when I was at the listing presentation with Sandra, I said, hey, Sandra, I'm super excited we're listing your house. Just so you know, my 12-step marketing plan that I promised you you're going to have access to in your seller portal. Sandra says, oh my gosh. And so I can say, hey, so when I am doing things, or when I have that whole list of everything I'm going to do, you're going to have access to. And that's where that accountability piece of the list comes in. I'm going to show you what that looks like. I just want to make sure I click save on this item so I can see here, day one, schedule photos, and it's good. Now, how do those show to your sellers in their portal? So if I say visible to seller, yes, what does that look like? So I can see here, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to log in to a seller portal so that you can see that. So here, underneath action plans, all of those items are going to show up. What's complete, what's past due. If it's pending, it will show pending, so that your sellers can see what you're doing to help sell their house. One of the hardest things in our industry is that nobody really knows what agents do. They don't know the marketing efforts you're putting in. They don't know the follow-up that's required. They don't know what they don't know. And so this gives you the ability, if you choose, to make that something that the seller can see. Is it visible to the seller? Yes or no? You can make any kind of follow-up request that you want. So this follow-up request action type is really meant for what are the things that you're physically doing that you need to name. Maybe this is a Homes and Land advertisement. I need to schedule that in the first 7 days. So you can add several different types of follow-up requests to an action plan. There are also other types of actions though. An automatic system email. This is going to be the showings email. The subject is making sure your home is ready to show. And I want that to go out immediately. If you choose immediately, this time does not apply. The time only applies if I choose a date outside of immediately. I want it to happen immediately. I don't want it to repeat. Maybe I, as the agent, do want to be copied, or maybe I want to be blind copied. Perfect. And then I'm going to search for my content. So I'm going to go into my content and I'm going to choose the content that's being attached. I'm going to send it to the seller. Is it visible to the seller in the portal? No. So for this, it's an automatic email. I don't want my seller to know that I've set an automatic email to go out. So I can say, nope, that piece of it, I don't want them to show. So each individual action item, you choose if it's shown in the portal or not. Some examples of automatic emails that are helpful are, congratulations, your house is listed. Hey, Chris, super excited. Wanted to let you know that your listing is active. I will be in touch in the next few days to make sure that we're getting your photos scheduled, show you how to use your seller portal, and sending you links on your property. Please let me know if you have any questions. Again, congratulations, you're live in MLS. We're linking directly to your MLS. When that listing goes live, you can auto attach plans to automatically send out as soon as it's live in MLS. How many of your sellers ask that when you're live in MLS, you give them a call or send them an email? And maybe a better question is, how many of you are calling or emailing your client as soon as that listing is live in MLS? So with this, you can actually automate that process. The other types of items that are in here, so we covered follow-up requests, we covered automatic system emails. If you have a campaign, so if you've created an email campaign for current sellers that has advice, you can automatically have them added to a campaign when a listing goes live. Again, you name that item. And then you choose that campaign from your drop-down. Another example of a marketing campaign that you may want to start and you may want to think about as you're doing this, you might want an active seller campaign. You also might want a reduced property campaign. Hey, Lori, we just reduced your home. These are the things that you should expect and the timeline for going through things. You can set up that drip campaign and have it automatically attach when listings are reduced. Same for just listed. Might be a series of like 4 or 5 weeks in the market we're in. It's content you create, you make the campaign, you set it, you forget it, you add it to an action plan so that you don't have to remember to go in and add your sellers. Now, there is an action type in here that I do want to talk about, and that is adding your seller. So you can link your seller to a listing. We are pulling from MLS, and the listing is automatically attaching to you, the listing agent, in your office. However, you do have to go in and either in the customer relations tab. So if I open up my seller, hey, Zach has a listing. I have to go over to the listings tab and I add his listing here to link him, or I have to actually go into my listings and go to the contact section and make sure my seller is linked. With an action plan item of link seller to listing, the system's going to remind you to do that. Also, all of these action items, if it's something that you need to complete, are going to show on your to-do gauge on your home screen. I can see here that for one of my listings, I have an order home warranty item. I know it's a listing action item because of the little bed next to the person, matches the listings icon on the left-hand side. So this action plan that we're creating, the goal is, hey, I'm putting my whole plan in there. It's auto-attaching to my listings that come in. And then my to-do is automatically filling so that I know what I need to do for every day that I have that listing. Some of the other item types, so there are automatic system emails, follow-up requests, add to campaigns. Sending a survey is an automatic sending of a survey. You can also have the system remind you to order your marketing items. So if you need to order your just listed or your just sold or I have buyers for your neighborhood marketing items, you can add that to the plan. So I'm going to say buyers and I want this to be buyers for your item. I want to order those the second day it's listed, and I want to do that at 10:30 in the morning. I want to notify the same day at 8 a.m. Perfect. I can add sharing on my social media. I want this to be a Facebook share. Facebook new listings share. the day after at 8 a.m., save. I can add setting up the seller reports, setting up your showing preferences, making sure that you have the website URL and you've sent that to the seller, attaching a video tour or a virtual tour. Are there any questions on any of these item types or how you attach them by giving the item a name, a description, and setting the due date? Any questions on that part of it? Go ahead, drop a no in that chat box if the answer is no. Awesome. So after you have all of your items in your listing, you can go ahead and you can automatically attach these listing plans. So to do that, there's a couple ways, and I'm going to go through both ways. For the office, you can do it at an office level. You can also do it at an agent level. So for yourself as an agent, you're going to go to your name in the upper right-hand corner, and you're going to go to your profile. When you're in your profile, you're going to go to your Preferences tab. And about halfway down this tab, there is a default action plan section with a just listed action plan and a just reduced action plan. So you can go in, and if you want to attach an action plan that auto attaches to every listing that comes in, you're going to click on the magnifying glass here, and then you're going to choose. So I'm going to choose that marketing 12-step plan that we just selected, and it's going to auto apply. If you've created a just reduced action plan, again, you click that magnifying glass. When that listing comes through with a reduced price, your reduced action plan will automatically apply. Keeping in mind that whenever you make changes on anything, you need to remember to click the Save button in the upper right-hand corner so that you don't lose that. From the office standpoint, for the few of you that I've got on the office, if you go into your admin tab and then to your offices, underneath that office, there's a Preferences tab, and that's where you can set your default action plans per office. Sandra, I'm just seeing your question and I need a little bit more details. When you say, is there another training session going into each of these things specifically? Do you mean each action item individually and what they are, or each piece of the software? Like each of these items on the left-hand side? Yeah. So what I would suggest, Sandra, is we have and for everybody on the call, know that there's a huge library of videos on YouTube. I'd encourage you to look there for training. We record every webinar and post it there. There's also every week at 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. there's training. 9:30 a.m. is really overviews of a bigger portion of the software. 8 a.m. we dig into just one piece of the software. And that side of it. Candy, let me think about that question to get you a better answer. So just so you all know, if you didn't see Candy's question in the chat box, she's the assistant for an agent. She's not an office admin. So she wants to put herself under the agent and IQ for those to-dos so that they would come to her instead of going to the agent. I need to dig a little bit deeper on that, Candy. Can you shoot me a message? And we can dig a little bit further into that. There is a way, I just need to make sure that it all gets set up right, and I need more information about how your agent operates to give you a good answer. Awesome. So you can attach it from your agent standpoint under your profile. As an office, if you want to apply a list to every listing that comes in, you can do that as well. For the office, things like turn in your paperwork to the office, make sure that you have your home warranty waiver, your sign, order your sign up. You can actually attach those to a listing so that those are the 3 items in the action plan. And when a listing goes live in MLS, the first thing that shows up on an agent's to-do is turn in your paperwork to the office. You could also set up an auto email that said, hey, Jennifer, super excited that you have a new listing. We saw it went live in MLS. Please make sure you get your listing file to the office by the end of the day today. For those auto emails, if you are setting up your content, you are actually going to go into marketing, my saved content, and this is where you're going to create those pieces. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add some content. And I am also going to and then I'm going to choose maybe blank content. So if I choose blank content, it's just a blank file. I can import images, I can put in a table, I can do whatever I'd like. If I choose a blank with one of these photos at the top, it's going to ask that I put a photo into those spots. So I'm going to do just this blank content one. And then I am going to choose my content. So let's see. I can go in, I'm going to change this. I'm going to call this my just listed letter. And I'm going to put it in the content name of maybe listing letters or whatever you want to name that content so you can go back in and find it. Then I click on this box below, and this is where I'm going to write my content. So I'm going to be patient as that pulls up. I'm going to refresh my screen here. I'm in a demo account, so I would love to say that everything is always fabulous, but there are times when you're doing a demo that it is slow. As I'm waiting for this to pull up, are there any questions that I can answer? One question I often get asked is, how do you and where do you go to get resources to create your content? Because that's a big deal, right? Creating your own content, creating your own letters. What do you say? What do you not say? The first place I would go for all of you is to your broker. Hey, do you have stock letters? Are there other things in the office that other agents are using that I could absolutely use? What side of it will work there? The next place that I would go, I'm just going to try a different account here, team. So I'm going to go into my saved content. I'm going to add content. And we're going to choose blank content. Okay, so I've got this content screen up. Thank you for your patience with me as I got that up. I can actually add to text here. So I'm going to click add to text. I can add a name. And when I'm creating my content, if I've gone to my broker, they don't have tools that other people are using in the office. The other place that you can go is I actually save a lot of content from my continuing education that I do. A lot of times they have example letters in there. Also, many of the real estate coaches that are out there have free content on their website. So if you go to like tomferry.com, he has a library of free content. I will go and I will just read and read and read. And then I take little pieces from each of those. So, hey, maybe my broker had this letter and I like these phrases that it used, but then I went and I found some coaching material and I liked a couple other phrases. And then I Googled, you know, congratulations on your listing letter. And I liked some of that as well. So when you're creating your content as blank content, anything up here at the top, I can actually drop in contact first name, and I'm going to say, congratulations, your home is live in MLS. Here is what you should expect over the next few weeks. Everybody loves lists. Hey, I'm going to schedule your photos. I'm going to get your showings information in the system. Your sign is going to go up. There's going to be a lockbox on your door. I'm going to make sure that you have the links to your site, and you're going to get an email setting up a seller portal. Perfect. Put it in a list. My 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list maybe. Maybe it's a list of 10. Then I'm going to add my signature. So I'm going to say, okay, agent email signature at the bottom. The other items that are in here is you can actually go in and you could put in a property address or the contact's address. Your listing is live in MLS or your home at contact address is live in MLS. Then it will auto-fill for every client that gets this letter. Okay, it's in there. I've named it. And I click save. Because I'm attaching it in an action plan, I don't need to worry about the save and get HTML, save and print, or save an email. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to actually say tools and preferences, my action plans. I'm going to attach that letter. So does that, I know that's a really quick overview of where you go to create content. That is a whole nother hour webinar. But in that marketing, my saved content, that's where you can go and create your letters. Underneath my campaigns is where you create your campaigns. Does that answer your question, Candy? We're about 40 minutes into the session. I do want to make sure that we're getting all of our questions answered. And so are there other questions you have about listing action plans? I am more than happy to put some content on our Facebook page this afternoon if you need some examples of listing plans and examples of letters. Would that help all of you? Awesome. So just so you know, I will do my best to get it up there today, but it will be this week. I'll for sure put it up on our Facebook page. It'll be under the document section. Yeah, so Chris asked a really good question. After you attach a letter to an action plan or a campaign, and you go back and edit the letter, will the client receive the revised letter? Chris, if you are attaching it in My Campaigns, once it's in a campaign, it stays the same in every campaign. However, because when you're in an action plan, you're going in and you're just telling the system where to look for that content. Hey, it needs to be this content piece. It needs to be this piece. If I update that piece, it's just looking for the title. So yes, if it's attached to an action plan, the answer is yes. For those of you that aren't a member of our Facebook group, we do have a Facebook group. This is a great place to go in and ask questions. It's called Back at You Office Masterminds. I'm going to put that link in the chat box right now. So if you are not a member, you can click on that and add it. So this is the Facebook group. Also, if you're looking for, hey, I need just some YouTube instructions on pieces of the software. We do have a YouTube channel, and I'm going to share that link as well. What's great about the YouTube channel is this search bar. So if I want to go in and search action plans, I can do that. And there's actually an entire playlist just on creating action plans. The last link I'm going to share with you today is our Showtime schedule. So if you're looking for upcoming sessions, we do post all of our upcoming sessions online. You can always see them here. Let me repaste that link because I put in a edit. And they are scheduled out through the end of February, and we will be getting March's schedule up here. That's a really good question, Chris. Let's see if we can figure it out. So Chris asks, is there a way to set up an auto email to our sign vendor for the just listed campaign? I don't think there is at this time, Chris, but that's a really good idea. Will you shoot me an email? So like ideally you're saying like underneath this send to, there would be a vendor box and then a drop down to choose the vendor. Okay. Yeah, just shoot me an email and I'll talk to our product about it. That's a really good idea. Next question. I signed up for the pink one, not the black one. So yes. So for those of you that are new to the system, Realistic IQ and Back at You Media merged in July of this year. And so we are now one company, Back at You. And there are two Facebook groups. There's a Back at You Social Mastermind group, and there's a Back at You Office Mastermind group. And this one that I shared the link with in the chat box is for the office side of things. And you can see here things like answering questions. We try to answer everything in video. If you ask questions, that's how we'll answer them. There is also a full video library on the YouTube or on the Facebook channel. And then those files, I'll put underneath that files section. And I'll post so that you know what those are. So I'll get you some example of letters. I'll also get you some examples of action plans that work for listings. Any other questions today? All righty. If there are no other questions, I want to encourage you all to have a fabulous week. Same time next week. I know that Monday is a holiday. We will absolutely be having training at 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. I would love to have you all there. This will be recorded. You'll get a copy of the recording this afternoon. And I hope you all have a fabulous week. We'll talk to you soon.